gigantic dreams and mind-blowing talents, but only a few of us actually manage to actualize those dreams. This is because a number of us want to have things easy without paying the price. So as long as you are not willing to pay the price, forget the glory that comes with success. Consistency is very hard, but all of us can learn to master it. Welcome to the Spotlight with me, Chilesha Joyce Mokonta, on yet another amazing episode where we get to have meaningful conversations that edify, equip, and ignite the pursuit of purpose. So, on today's episode, we are going to be looking at the big elephant in the room, which is consistency. So, we're going to define what it is, why a number of us struggle to be consistent in what we're doing, the importance of consistency, and then we are also going to look at practical ways in which one person can actually become consistent. So remember to tag somebody, to share, to like, what else? To comment. Yes, so tell somebody that the spotlight is on right now with me. Baby girl. No, I'm not a baby girl. I've now grown. Yeah, I'm not a baby girl. I have now grown. Yes. All right. So we have to now jump into it. So probably maybe a simple question would be, what is consistency? Like, when somebody talks about consistency, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Like, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? So please leave the comments down there. I will be able to come through and respond and read it. Yeah. So simple terms. Consistency is the ability to stay focused and dedicated on one's goals, right? You are focused on them and you are dedicated to ensure that they come to pass. Or maybe another definition can be, it is one's ability to stay committed to the goals without deviating from them, all right? So when you tell yourself to say, okay, I'm going to get an A in mathematics, so you stay focused and do whatever that it takes in order for you to get an A without changing your mind about it, without telling yourself to say, no, a C plus is okay. Like, you stay focused. You stay committed to what you have decided you want to do. So consistency in itself, with other factors, of course, they are the driving factors that causes us to actually become successful. So you have to stay focused, you have to stay dedicated, and you have to be committed without deviating or changing from the initial goal. So now, my question would be, why do people struggle with consistency? Like, why do you and I struggle with consistency? So I do a bit of writing? I do a bit of writing here and there. But you would realize that for some time, I really did struggle with staying consistent when it comes to sitting down and writing. This is because I would always give myself excuses like, no, I'm busy at work, I have church work, I have family and all of those things. I'm tired, I can't sit down and just write and stuff like that. So I have struggled with being consistent when it comes to writing, and when it comes to probably sometimes personal development, or sometimes even the time that I was in school, I kind of struggled to be consistent in certain subjects, or in certain courses where I was good in some courses, and in some courses I was not really good in. This is because I kind of lacked consistency in those particular subjects. So I've been working on myself, and I've been working on those things that I have been struggling with. So these are some of the things that I have kind of put in practice in order for me to actually be consistent. Yeah, so maybe I'll ask you a question as well. Like, why do you think is the reason why you are not consistent, or what are some of the reasons that you have noticed that causes people to be inconsistent in what they're doing or in what they are pursuing? So remember, this is a spotlight with me, Chilesha Joyce Mokonta, where we have meaningful conversations that edify, equip, and ignite the pursuit of purpose. So we always tell ourselves, until we become, we shall not relent. So let's look at, why do people struggle with being consistent? So number one, because we lack patience. A number of us want things to happen there and then. We do not have the grace to wait. We do not have the time to wait. We just want things to be done there and then. Like, we do not have the ability to wait. Like, it's more like we are planting instant seeds. When you plant a seed today, tomorrow you want to harvest. That's a type of mentality that a number of us have, more especially the young people of my generation. So hence, it's causing us to struggle with being consistent, because we don't have the patience, we don't have the ability to wait for something to be able to grow and mature into something that we can say, yes, this is the product of me being consistent. So we lack patience. Yes. And then your level of consistency actually reflects your values and your standards. Like, how consistent you are towards something will reflect how much you value it and how much standards you have towards that particular thing. So you can't say, I want to become big in this life, but yet you slack a lot, yet you're not consistent. It's speaking against you. So if you value something and your standards are high, we'll be able to see those things through how consistent you are. So remember, we've said number one reason why people struggle with being consistent is because we lack patience. We don't want to wait. We want things to happen fast. So number two, we're saying we desire for instant gratification. Like, we want to succeed there and then. We don't want the pressure that comes with waiting. We don't want the pressure that comes with the hard work. We just want things to happen there and then. You know, we're living in a world where everything is like a microwave, you know, where nowadays you can actually cook Django oats in a microwave. You can bake a cake in a microwave. Back then, you have to wait. You have to spend some minutes in order for you to be able to cook something. But this time around, less than 2 minutes, the microwave will be able to prepare you something. Less than a minute. So we desire instant gratification. So whatever that we are doing, we want it to happen. We want it to succeed there and then. You start a relationship today, tomorrow you want Dubai, you're engaged, our desire for instant gratification is the reason why a number of us are not consistent, because we kind of feel like it's wasting our time to wait for something to grow, to wait for something to mature. We feel like it's wasting our time. So that's number two. The desire for instant gratification is one of the reasons why a number of us fail to be consistent in what we do. Then number three, we lack clarity and focus. All right? So a number of us don't really actually have a vision. We don't know exactly what we want to achieve. We don't know. When you wake up in the morning, you ask somebody, why are you doing what you're doing? They don't know why they are doing what they are doing. Hence, it's very difficult for them to be consistent, because they don't have it's not clear to them why they're doing what they're doing. They're not focused on what they're doing. So if you're not focused, because if you're focusing on a lot of things, it becomes difficult for you to become consistent. Lelo, you don't know whether you want to become a doctor. Milo, you don't know whether you want to become a lawyer. That day, you don't know whether you want to become a teacher. We are all over the place. Hence, it's very difficult for us to become consistent, because we don't know exactly what we want to achieve at the end of the day. That's quite the clarity. There is no clarity in what we're doing. And we are not focused at all. We are focused on everything. We are, what's that? Jack of all trades. Yes, that's the right word. Jack of all trades. Concept you okowaba. You hear people doing shani, you are there. You hear people, you are there. So get clarity. If you are going to be consistent in this life, be focused and get clarity of what you want to achieve at the end of the day. So that was number three. And then number four, we're saying not having supportive habits or triggers. This is hard work, dedication, self-discipline, being resilient, and time management. A number of us don't really have skills that can actually help us to become consistent in what we're doing. When you lack time management as a skill, it becomes very difficult for you to become so consistent because you will not understand whether you're wasting time or you're not wasting time. We are not dedicated to what we are doing. We are all over the show. We are not self-disciplined. We can't control ourselves. We can't tell ourselves, you can't do this because you have to focus on this. So we lack that. We are not hardworking. Henceforth, it becomes very difficult for us to actually become very, very consistent. We are not even resilient at all. If something fails, we have given up on it. We're done. We are not pursuing it again. It's done. It's gone. It's dusted. But then that's not how life should actually be. So remember, we are saying the reasons why we struggle with consistency is because, number one, we lack patience. Number two, we desire instant gratification. Number three, we do not have clarity and we are not focused. And then number four, we do not have supporting skills that can help us to become consistent. We are not hardworking sometimes. We are not self-disciplined. We are not dedicated. We are not resilient, and we don't even know how to manage our time. So let's make sure that we work on these things in order for us to be able to actually become consistent. So now my question I'll ask you, this is the question I'll ask you as well as I am asking myself. What are you trying to achieve at the end of the day? You know, like, what are you trying to achieve at the, like, out of your life? Like, when we say your life is done on earth, what is it that you're trying to achieve? So that when you have a clear vision of what you want to achieve at the end of the day, it helps you to become successful. So, do you want that business to succeed? Do you want to finish writing that book? Do you want that relationship to succeed? Do you want that career to succeed? If yes to all of these questions, then you have to keep going. You have to keep going. So remember, today we are talking about consistency. So then the other thing is, let's look at the importance. Why is consistency very, very, very important or very cardinal in a person's life? Whether it be in relationships and family, in careers, in whichever area you want to look at, consistency is very, very, very important. So number one importance is it opens doors to opportunities. All right, it opens doors to opportunities. So you can be very, very talented, but if you're not consistent, it becomes hard for people to invest in you, because at the end of the day, all of us, we want, when we invest in something, there should be something that we should be able to benefit at the end of the day. So I am not going to sit here and invest in a person who's not consistent just because they have the talent. So you can have the talent, but if you're not consistent, then what's the point? You get, like, what's the point? So for people to be able to, for you to be able to experience opportunities or open doors, you need to be consistent, because if people are going to come to you, they should be able to come to you and be able to invest in you because you're consistent and because they are going to reap from the things that they are sowing into your life. People are not going to spend money on you just because. They're going to spend money on you because they understand that you're dedicated, they understand that you're consistent in what you're doing, and they understand that you've got clarity on what you're trying to achieve at the end of the day. So talent is not enough. Like, talent is not enough. You have to be consistent. You have to, it has to be backed up with being consistent. It has to be backed up with being dedicated. It has to be backed up with being self-disciplined. It has to be backed up with you being able to manage your time. It has to be backed up with a lot of things. But today we are specifically saying, if you're talented, you need to be consistent in what you're doing. Even God blesses people that are so dedicated at what they are doing. Because even the Bible says the Lord will bless the works of our hands. But then how does he bless the works of your hands if you're not consistent at what you're doing, at the work you're doing? So if you want that open door, if you want things to just open up and be able to work for you, ensure that you're consistent in what you're doing. People will be able to say, oh, you know, you want somebody to do this for you? I go to such a person. That person is consistent. That person is there. People will be able to rely on you because they know that your value for being consistent and your value for producing the best is there. But how do people send somebody to come to you when you're not consistent? Lero, ngamaliamba business. Today you've advertised. 3 weeks later you've not advertised. If it's a shop, today the shop is open. You come 2 days later, the shop is closed. How? So people will only be able to come to you if you're consistent, because they know that you're reliable at the end of the day. So consistency will show that you are reliable at the end of the day. Then number 2 is it sustains accomplishments. When you have achieved something, the only way to sustain it is you being consistent with it, right? The moment you're not consistent, then even the progress of that thing actually begins to deteriorate or begins to die. So you just can't plant a seed. The moment the seed begins to grow and then you let it be on its own, you still have to go there to check, is the water enough? Is the sun enough? Is there anything that I can do in order for this thing that I have planted to continue to grow? So you can succeed at something, but if you don't follow it up with being consistent, it might actually die before it reaches its full potential. So where your consistency stops, that's where your success also stops. So for you to continue gaining, for you to continue winning, you have to continue to be consistent in what you're doing. The number 3, it helps you differentiate what is important and what is not. All right? Remember, we spoke about clarity and being able to focus. So you will be able to understand, to say, okay, the goal or the plan is to achieve this. The goal is to get an A. The goal is to go to university. What is it that I am supposed to do? What are the most important things in order for me to be able to reach where I want to go? Is this thing that is what's important between A and B? Is A more important than B? Where is A taking me? Where is B taking me? So you will be able to differentiate what is important and what is not important. But if you lack consistency, you will be everywhere because you don't have a goal. Why are you tracking what you're tracking if you don't know exactly where you're going? So you will not be able to manage your time. You will not be able to schedule things. You will not be able to do anything. This is because you don't know, you don't really have clarity on what you want to achieve at the end of the day. Then number 4, we're saying it helps you to be disciplined and to develop self-control. So self-control and so discipline and consistency, they move together. This is because we're saying consistency is you repeatedly doing the same thing, like you keep doing the same thing over and over again. So if you're not disciplined, it becomes very difficult for you to actually be consistent. So it's all about you being intentional about wanting to be consistent, and then you begin to develop the art of being disciplined. So you tell yourself, no, I can't afford to do this. All right? Like where you begin to suspend current gratification for future gratification, where you begin to tell you to say, right now, it's very important that I study instead of actually going out where I wanted to go. It's very important that I actually do this compared to doing this. It's very important that I actually stay focused on this relationship because this is what I want at the end of the day. I can't afford to entertain each and every person that comes my way. It's very important that I take time to pray and study the Word of God. This is because the plan is for me to actually build a stronger relationship with God. You know, so even when it comes to family values and so on and so forth, you tell yourself to say, no, I can't afford to indulge myself in such activities. This is because the plan is for me to actually be able to be a vessel of honor to my family as well as to God. So it helps you to develop self-control or self-discipline, where you tell yourself, I can't do this because it will kind of cause harm to what I am trying to achieve. It even helps you as a person to actually develop, because you're when you're consistently doing something, you master the art of it and you actually become good at it. You actually perfect the skill of it. So it helps you become disciplined and also develop self-control. So a person who is not able to control themselves cannot be able to control their lives. So are you sure that you're able to control yourself and you're able to discipline yourself? So self-discipline is as good as you just saying, no, you can't do this. Like, no, you can't do this. You have to focus on this. Yeah, so that was number 4. And then number 5 is consistency fosters self-development. So just like I said in the previous point, when you constantly do something, you master the skill of it, right? People don't just become, like people don't just wake up and become. Talk about the musicians, talk about people that write, talk about athletes. Like mention each and every department that you want to mention, but you would understand to say, these people only became better because they repeatedly did what was required of them. You just can't wake up today and tell yourself to say, I'm going to become a musician. As simple as the songs that we hear on radio and TV look, it takes a lot of hard work for a person to actually be able to write that song. As simple as the quotes that we have read by different authors can look, it takes a lot of consistency. It takes a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of a person telling themselves, you can't afford to do this. You must actually be able to sit down and think. Where they push aside the need to satisfy their current gratification or desire in order for them to just achieve something in the near future. So if you are not consistent, it becomes very difficult for you as well as for me to be able to master a skill. So if you want to become good at something, be consistent and you will realize that you actually become good. Or even when you take a look at people that draw, artists that draw things, they will tell you to say it takes a lot of practice in order for them to actually become good. No artist has just become good just because. You can have the talent, but you have to be consistent. You have to ensure that you show up by practicing each and every single day. The same thing even with you people that are in school. I know people will say mathematics is difficult and stuff like that. Spend as much time as you can to solve questions in mathematics. Then you will see to say, as time goes by, you actually become good. So remember, this is the Spotlight, where we have meaningful conversations that edify, equip, and ignite the pursuit of purpose. Remember to like, share, comment, tag somebody, and leave a comment down there. Yeah, we've just looked at some few points under the importance of consistency. What are some of the things that you feel like I have left out? You can type them down. Yeah, and then we'll be able to read them and somebody will be able to pick more. Yeah, so at this particular point, we are going to look at how then do we develop consistency, like practical ways that can help you as well as me to become consistent in what we are doing. So all of us can master the art of being consistent. All of us can. Like, it's possible. It's possible. So one of the main keys to success is to keep going once you have started. When you have started a journey, the goal is to keep going if you have to succeed. The moment you begin to slack, the moment you begin to become inconsistent, then at that particular point, the journey to success actually becomes longer. So let's take each and every step without counting, without giving up. No matter how small the steps may look towards success, the fact that you are taking those smaller steps, it simply means you are still making progress. It might not actually seem to be very big at this particular point, but after you have taken those steps, probably 100 of those steps, 10 of those steps, you'll be able to realize that where you started from is not where you are. I know it's really hard to become consistent. It's not easy, but then all of us can actually learn the master of it by constantly repeating the same things that we are doing over and over and over again until we master the art of being consistent or master the art of what we are trying to achieve in our lives. So number one on practical ways that can help us to become consistent is start small. Start small. Let me remember scripture. Zechariah 4 verse 10, if I am not mistaken. I think I'm not mistaken. The Bible says, do not despise the days of humble beginning, because the Lord takes pleasure or glory in them. So it's all about starting small. You don't have to achieve a big thing at the same time. Start small. Start from where you are. You don't have to wait until you have millions in order for you to start that business. Start with the same 5 kwacha. Start with the same 100 kwacha that you have. You don't have to wait until things look like until you feel like you are mentally okay in order for you to start pursuing things. Like, start small. Start where you are. And the most important thing is for you to start. That's the most important thing. For you to start, and you keep going, taking those small steps until you get to where you want to get. So that's number 1. And then number 2, know what you want out of life. Know what you want out of life. Without you knowing exactly what you want to achieve at the end of your life, it becomes very difficult for you to master any skill or any art. This is because you're not really sure. There's no clarity of what you are trying to achieve at the end of the day. So, ask yourself what you want to achieve at the end of the day. Create a vision. What is it that you want to achieve at the end of the day? Create a vision. Have a mental picture of what you want it to be. That relationship, have a mental picture of what you want it to be. Kids, a nice wedding, a nice house. If it's that business, a boardroom, workers. If it's a career, graduation, if it's school, have a mental picture of getting straight A's, straight B's. You get? So, like, have a mental picture of what you want to become. Like, have a vision, like a tangible vision of what you want to become. And the only way that you can be able to actually know exactly what you want to become is by noticing the things that you like to do, things that you can do with all your heart. That is where your vision lies. Ask God, what is it? Like, ask the why question, like, God, why did you create me? What's my purpose on earth? What is it that you want me to achieve out of my life? And then God, in his faithfulness, will be able to usher you and help you actually know exactly what you must achieve at the end of your life. Everything in life has got a purpose. Equally, you have a purpose. So no matter how far you have gone in the wrong route, it doesn't mean that you can't start afresh, or you can't pick up the pieces that had fallen off from your life. You can still start afresh. You have a purpose. Don't let the circumstances around you tell you that you're not worth it, or you don't deserve the best out of life. You actually deserve the best out of life. That's the whole point, or the whole purpose why Christ came and died for you, was for him to be able to give you purpose. So find the reason why God created you, and then it will become easy for you when you have clarity for you to actually become consistent in what you are doing. And then number 3 is set realistic goals, right? Like, set realistic goals, things that can be achievable. If you're going to tell yourself to say, I'm going to be consistent when it comes to saving money, be realistic with how much you actually can save at the end of the year. From the income that you are getting, if you have a job, from the monies that you're getting, after you've spent on your bills and so on and so forth, how much is remaining that you can be able to put aside and save? Be realistic when it comes to you setting goals. Be realistic when it comes to you setting goals. You can't start a relationship today and the goal is to get married at the end of probably maybe June. Be realistic in the goals that you are setting. You can't start a career today and then you expect that career to succeed in the next few months. Be realistic even as you set these goals. You can start a business today and expect it to bloom. It even starts funding all your bills and everything. Like, be realistic even as you set these goals. Because when you set realistic goals, it becomes, it motivates you to actually pursue those goals. But if they are not realistic, even you yourself, you look at yourself, 2.1 million at the end of the day, at the end of the year, how? Like, how? Like, how? So set realistic goals. Then number 4 is stay focused, right? Like, stay focused on what you are trying to achieve. Remove distractions. A number of us are easily distracted by the noises that are outside us. You've told yourself to say, this year I'm trying to achieve this. But then instead of you staying in the same place where you said you're trying to achieve this, you allow things from outside to come actually influence the decision that you have made. You can't say you're trying to be productive in life and then you spend close to 6 hours on social media. And then, the funny part about social media is this. Once you open one video, just know 30 minutes will go. The way 30 minutes, the way an hour is going to elapse, you're not even, like, you'll be shocked. Like, you'll be, how? Like, how? So if you remove distractions from your life, be intentional. If you're going to tell yourself to say, I'm going to study, and your phone is one of the things that actually distracts you, put it on flight mode or switch it off. When you're done doing whatever that you're doing, then you can switch it back on. Maybe you're in the midst of something, a friend comes, they're like, oh, I was actually planning to go this side. I was hoping you can escort you. If you have something that's going on that you're doing, which is very important to you, you tell the person to say, you know what, I'm doing something, but if you can come later onwards, I can be able to escort you. But right now, I'm in the midst of something. But a number of us will suspend whatever that we are doing just because there is a friend who has come. You have an exam on Monday, later on Saturday, then you decide to, because somebody has said, no, there is a party this side, banji, there is no need for you to even pay. And you're like, oh, wait, chaiska. You leave, and then if you fail that exam, we should be like, no, my village people. Like, we accuse them wrongly. These people. So just make sure that you remove all manner of distractions, things that can actually distract you. As long as it's an emergency, it's not an emergency, and you're in the midst of something, don't bother about it. It's like you're in the midst of something, you're supposed to be doing something, and then somebody calls you. And then you know for a fact that if this friend of yours calls you, the conversation is going to take about 30 minutes. Don't answer it. Write them, make a message, I can't talk right now, I'll call you back. When you're done, you call them back. So be intentional about removing the things that distract you. You know yourself better. You know yourself better. You know yourself better. So just make sure that you control your environment. You control what comes and what goes out of your life. That was number 4. And then number 5, we are saying is, don't be afraid to make any mistakes. So a number of us have failed. All right? Like, a number of us have failed certain things. We have failed. And some of us are finding it very hard to learn from the mistakes. This is because when we look at ourselves, like, it's evident. It's evident, pointing to us that we were the cause to why such a thing had happened. All right? But then, at the end of the day, don't stop yourself from living life or from achieving great things just because of the mistakes that you have made in the past. Because, we're saying start small. Maybe you had started a business and it failed, and right now you're scared to start again because of your past failures, your past encounters that were not positive. But don't let the past stop you from achieving what you can achieve in this life. Don't. Learn from whatever that happened to you in the past, pick up and start afresh. Like, don't be afraid. Yes, your previous relationships, you made mistakes. Now you know. Don't be afraid to love. Don't be afraid to open your heart again, baby girl. Baby boy, don't. All right? Don't be afraid of the mistakes that you made in the past. Yes, you went to school the first time. It didn't really work out. You failed some courses and stuff like that. Don't be afraid. Yes, this is like the 4th time you're doing GCE. Yes, even this year, in a row, go and write. But this time, go and do it with a lot of consistency. Go and do it with a lot of hard work. Go and do it with a lot of dedication. Now you know. You are an expert at this. So don't be afraid to make mistakes. Mistakes will always be a part of our lives. So try to be a bit patient with yourself and to be persistent. Like, don't stop. When the storm comes, it hits you, rise up again. Because I know there's a scripture in the Bible, I may not quote exactly where it is. The Bible says a righteous man will fall 7 times, and 7 times shall he rise up again. So those fallings may be as a result of the mistakes, but the fact is that the grace of the Lord is sufficient for you to actually rise again and start over again. So don't hold yourself down through the mistakes that you have made in the past. Don't be afraid to make new mistakes. Just make sure that you pick yourself up and continue going. Remember, we are saying when you start, you are not stopping. You continue until something becomes good, until we actually achieve what we are trying to achieve out of whatever that we want to achieve, based on the goals that we have set and based on the things that we want to achieve out of life. Then the last one is, that's number 5, is reward yourself for the little accomplishments that you make. I'm big on that one. Yes. So for each and every little thing that you do, that you achieve, be able to reward yourself. This is because when you reward yourself, you kind of build a mentality of, I should do it again in order for me to actually do this thing again for myself. So time and again, when I achieve something, I usually love to take myself out for coffee. Like I'm big on taking myself out for coffee. Back then it used to be ice cream, but I have toned down on ice cream, but at least I'm doing coffees now. Like take yourself out for lunch, buy yourself something. If you are a person who writes like me, buy yourself a new book, buy yourself a pen, buy yourself highlighters, buy yourself stickers, do something for you. Let me show you what I did for myself recently. So after succeeding at something, I decided to do this for myself. It looks simple, but this is like a bigger word for myself. Like a chitenge wrapped book like that, you see? So be intentional about doing something for yourself. Whenever you achieve something, be intentional about it. So that next time you become excited about the next activity that you want to do, be like, this time around, if I achieve this, I'll take myself for a movie. This time when I achieve this, I'll buy myself like a new wig. This time when I do this, buy myself a new pair of shoes. This time when I do this, I'll buy myself like a leather jacket. This time when I do this, I'll buy myself a console. I'll buy myself a me at SP. If you're feeling it, yes, but then just make sure that you do something for yourself. So in conclusion, we're saying go out there, be consistent in your pursuits. Watch how it will change your life for the better. The only way for us to become better and become successful in this life is when we become consistent, dedicated, focused, and committed to what we are trying to achieve without deviating from it. So thank you so much for watching. This has been the Spotlight, where we have meaningful conversation that edify, equip, and ignite the pursuit of purpose. So from me, Chilesha Joyce Mukunta, bye-bye until next time.